Welcome back. This is part 3. My name is Josh Funk. I'm here to support you on your transformation challenge for the OrangeTheory Transformation Challenge. This is part 3 of our How to Be a Better Runner series. This part focuses on drills and technique. So once you've gone through part 1, focusing on having a goal and choosing shoes, part 2, building out your cross training or certain benchmark movements that put you in a better position to have a good foundation to run on, we're going to be talking about drills and technique that will support your running form, your ability to run maybe with more efficiency, and sometimes you'll hear this called running economy. Think about running a little bit more athletically. Sometimes I think we can probably imagine an individual that's very fatigued. They're spending a little bit more time on the ground. Maybe it looks like they're just naturally picking up their legs and falling forward. Well, I want you to have a certain posture about you to maintain your form as much as possible through fatigue, and ideally be able to maintain more of an athletic running style throughout the course of your time, not just at OrangeTheory, but outside of your local studio. Here are some ideas, and it's not meant to be exclusive again, but some things to throw into your routine outside of the studio. Working on different marches. In this position, we would be upright, we would be marching, our arms would be moving opposite of our legs, and we would be on the balls of our feet. Can we maintain this position? Can we maintain that heel off as we go from single leg stance on one leg to single leg stance on the other? This would then transition into a high knee movement, right? Where I am moving that march quicker and I'm actually ending up in a position because of the speed of my legs where there are times where I do not have a foot on the ground. Versus the march is more of an exchange. High knees, I'm actually coming off the ground and there is a time in which I do not have a single foot on the ground. That high knee would eventually turn into a skip. The thing that is unique about a skip is our foot hits the ground twice. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That skip is great for rhythm, it's great for coordination, and it's another way to get a little bit of that elastic or reactive component where our foot hits the ground and we're not necessarily sinking in. Like a swamp, we are hitting the ground, being reactive, hitting it again before then going back to that high knee position. You can incorporate things from old school PE class, gallops, shuffle, karaoke. Moving in multiple different directions is great for our body. It also provides a different stress. Sometimes when people are injured from a physical therapy standpoint, we work on introducing some variety or variability of movements, particularly outside of this straight ahead plane. If we're a runner and we're spending a lot of time going straight, we might spend some time going laterally or potentially rotationally. This leads me into the technique section. There are 2 different ways in which we can really focus on changing running. I think the first one, which is stride length, is where a lot of people focus on. They try to push or potentially reach with their lead leg. They may put themselves in a position where they are reaching to the point where it's outside of the frame of their body, and you potentially put yourself where you are heel striking, so to speak. This could potentially be negative, and we want to try to put ourselves in a position where our foot is striking underneath of us more often. This is where I have the conversation more about stride frequency, and when I speak about higher level runners, if they're using a metronome, they will shoot to have a cadence of somewhere between this 160 to 170, maybe 180, with regards to how many times their feet are hitting the ground during the course of a minute. If you want to download an app and mess around with it, check out Metro Timer. It's something that we use regularly at the clinic. Something that I have found that's been beneficial is this pose method where we focus more on lifting our feet instead of reaching our feet. If you focus on lifting, your feet will probably end up more underneath of you as opposed to you reaching and stepping in front of you. The other thing that I recommend associated with your technique, especially when you're practicing on technique, practice it in a manner in which you can still be conversational. When we start to add fatigue in, our body naturally reverts to a situation in which we are used to. If you are working on your technique and you are fatigued, you're probably not going to be able to work on it at the level in which your body is going to learn that new way of doing things. So when you're focusing on lifting rather than reaching, or you're focusing on increasing your cadence potentially, I want you to stay more at a level that is conversational. Maybe this is more base and push rather than all out. Thanks for staying tuned to part 3. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below.